take that as a definitive, definite no. And as always, I want to thank you for sharing this time with me. I'm looking forward to what we will experience and explore. For the record, this is officially Soup City Sins Season 8, Episode 3. Nature will tell you what to do on the spot. When we last left our coterie, the associates, the members of the troop, had found themselves privy to the absence or happiness of everything in their considerably fraught lives. Those revelations coming due the potent and subtle sanctity and magics of the Djibouti Safari Lounge, which happens to exist 100% within the shelter's domain. At the conclusion of the evening, the kindred alighted as quickly as possible back to their individual havens, where certain truths made themselves far more visible, far more apparent. Namely, that there are things that go bump in the night that defy easy explanation. Namely, when dying for the day, each member is given dreams. They are completely and totally, as always, dead to life. But in that death, there is a pervasive feeling as if they are and had experienced dreams upon waking. Would everyone be so kind as to go ahead and roll your rouse rolls now? And we'll begin in alphabetical order. Bill is always one to take care of things more directly. A succinct and complete ending of a thing is far better than to have anything, hanging over his head. Any sword, any gallows noose of fate. He does his best to make sure that there are no strings, no ties on him. And so, awakening relatively refreshed with his beast only lightly pawing at the door for release. We haven't had much time to really explore Bill's environment, how he comports himself. So, upon rising, what are Bill's oblations for the evening?
I remember last week we were looking for a different haven, right? But I don't remember where we settled.
Yes, Bill is in his individual haven. So when he awakens for the evening, feeling as if he has had the most beneficent dream, feeling as if instead of dying for the day, that he was in fact asleep, what would be his oblations? Would he vary his evening rituals and preparation, or would he continue as always, straightforward and as quick as a gunshot?
He probably checks a little bit on what's the Capone gang doing, since he's adjunct to the gang, is not embedded in it. And if nothing comes to mind, then he will keep on trying to establish his business.
Okay, so it's a quick up and go and immediately begin checking the usual hangouts, the associated spaces that the gang inhabits. So moving very much like the mythical beast himself to and fro across the city, Bill makes no qualms about doing what is necessary to further his place in the world, to build something lasting, or at least temporarily so that he can better his current situation. Part of that effort could be summed up in doing what is necessary, doing what he feels is needed at that moment. So when he comes upon the Millennium Club in Oak Park, one of the many associated hangouts for the network, the gang, he is surprised that it is beset by several marked and unmarked police cars. There are members and associates and hangers on being escorted out in handcuffs. It seems as if there was a raid that he missed solely because he was dead for the day. Taking part in the crowd gathered to look, he stands out because he's one of the few who don't have a cell phone out, who don't have video feed streaming on their device. He instead just takes in the sight with his senses. He's there in the moment, which gives him the added benefit of being able to realize that every member that he knows is actually kindred and is not arrested. These are all the the kind hangers on. These are the people that are used to hide the actual truth of what the Capone gang is. They believe that it's just an organization of businessmen and street level pharmacists who are willing to do what is necessary. They don't realize just how deeply the kindred have their claws into the gang. That is until he watches as Rob, no one knows what line of blood he originates from, is traipsed out in handcuffs, clearly having been beaten because he put up a fight. And while that fight was clearly enough that required a significant response, he was not the beast that he thinks he is, and nor the kindred that he thinks he is, because lo and behold, he is in fact the last and purported boss of the organization, being carted out like someone's discarded trash. This is troubling in several very potent ways. Namely, no kindred worth their salt could actually survive in a jail cell. Either their death will become apparent, the fact that they are in fact dead flesh, or worse, the cell may have access to daylight. This is as much trouble as a kindred individually can be in. And with so many witnesses, anything untoward would be met with a significant amount of force.
Bill probably gonna try to locate Eddie Wu by phone. Give him a quick call and check if he's got green light to try to spring him, or waiting for someone, or what's the next one, because he knows that the prince is very fond of his little coppers running around the city.
Yes. Without a shadow of a doubt, he very much, there's a known fact that you don't mess with the police. That is the surefire way to make sure your unlife comes to a complete and quickly abrupt end. Reaching out to Eddie, the one thing that stands out is that this was not supposed to happen. The protections have been paid. That location, the Millennium Club, is supposedly off the radar, so not many actual kindred know that they are there. And two, above all of the worries and fears that Eddie is putting forth across the line as he, informs you this and that and the other, it is clear that this has happened at the behest of something or someone who knew that the gang was making moves. And that's never a good thing. So while Bill ponders his options for retaliation or rescue, because Eddie is much like Bill, a shoot first, ask questions never sort of gentleman. If there's a problem, you handle it most directly, but this raises an issue that they may not be able to shoot their way out of. And while that is happening, and
if I can get, perhaps this is a job best suited for Lily D'Angelis, which I believe is his second. Sorry, she's more the brains of the group.
Okay, so you're gonna reach out to Eddie's go-to, his partner of sorts. And as you make that,
Yeah.
okay, well, you have a plan afoot, and so you are off. Unlike most people in the modern era, Lily is decidedly born out of time. She does most of her business face to face, and she keeps everything as far removed from electronic surveillance as possible. As such, you know that there is only one place where she would be at this hour of the evening, and that, unfortunately, is the Billy Goat Tavern on Lower Wacker. So while Bill makes his way back across the city from Oak Park into downtown, taking the 290 down and around instead of taking Lake Street across, we shift our view just a little as Dizzy awakens with her beast knocking on the door as if it has a warrant for full control over what they are. In the short time that the shelter has managed to broaden its reach and seize full control of the domain gifted to them by Prince Jackson, Dizzy has spent that time embedding herself and immersing herself in the day-to-day life of the Loyola campus. She is a fixture, a face that people can always say, oh, well, yeah, hey, it was that, they may not know her name, but she stands out. She's sociable enough, personable enough, that she and Vivi have become minor local celebrities, minor ladies of the manor, as it were. As such, awakening with her beast is a different sensation. She has, outside of her time with the shelter directly, has been living roughly the high life, laying plans, making a dent, leaving a very large footprint that is almost completely untraceable specifically. And as unnerving as that is, with her beast clawing at her insides, the most unnerving aspect of the evening thus far is the fact that it felt as if there was a dream dancing on her mental tongue, just outside of reach, as if instead of the lights on, lights off semblance that dying for the day is, there's the feeling that Dizzy has had a dream.
Well, that's slightly annoying. What exactly is the arrangement with Vivi? Has she been staying with me? Has she been staying in her own place? Because I mean, I haven't been reining her in necessarily that she's got to be by my side all the time. So
No, actually, your relationship with Vivi thus far has been one of friends who have the occasional sleepover, meaning that she takes it upon herself typically to watch over you while you die for the day, and spending a few hours there shortly on until she either has to get to work, which sucks because she is still assigned the night shift, but most of her job these days has been desk duty. And there, unfortunately for you, is a theist office on the Loyola campus to which she has been assigned.
well, that's convenient. I will task her with starting to try to dig around maybe a little deeper above her pay grade if she can do so without drawing attention to herself into their actual goings on of that organization there.
That is a well-suited task for her abilities. Having been part of military intelligence, having actually served in actual combat zones, and having actually been part of one of the most Byzantine organizational structures that is surprisingly just as transparent, she knows her way around and how to kick things up the ladder without actually drawing notice to them, i.e. giving her just enough access that she can pry and plod and cut through some of the red tape to get some actual information that is a little bit more involved than her position should denote. And while she works at that, knowing that Dizzy's beast is attempting to kick the door, not knock it off its hinges, but make sure that she is wholly and fully aware that it is there and needs out. It needs to go bye-bye. It needs to go walkies. And if Dizzy continues ignoring it, she knows how bad things can be.
Yeah, she'll have her head on a swivel for an easy feed that's not going to draw too much attention. She's got herds she could tap, but she's only at 2 hunger at the moment, so it's not an extremely pressing need yet.
Okay. Excellent. That being the case, with the beast, a friendly reminder of things that are less publicly accessible, or at least should be, with Vivi clawing through miles upon miles of purposefully misleading and information. The evening is dizzy. There is not much on the actual agenda except for the overwhelming, overpressing sense of dread that comes from knowing while the Don may not directly target any of you, unless of course he absolutely has to, there are other ways to cheat the system in a non-provable way, in a non-provable manner. And being they're humans, there's something about the idea of spirits investing themselves to slowly whittle away at someone's self-worth, to drive them to that gravest of self-harms that doesn't really fill Dizzy with a sense of well-being, knowing that college life, for all of its excitement, can be stressful enough to cause people to take that option as their only way out.
And speaking of that aspect of college life, we had the I don't remember exactly what it was they were doing, but basically the little mean girl network that were bullying or humiliating or bringing to sexual sort of assault situations these other students to deal with at some point. So if there's no coterie business, looking into that might be in order for the night.
All right, sounds like a plan. That being the case, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits plus... oh, sorry, a second. Sticky note. There we go. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll wits plus leadership for me, please? And if leadership is not high enough and you have academics, which may be higher, go ahead and roll that as well, please. And while that roll is happening, Hestia, your dreams always mean something. Yet the fact that you can't remember the details of it, the fact that you can't put your finger on it, the fact that there is this overwhelming sense that you actually went to sleep, not as if you were wakened by the hands of fate and there's a premonition that battered down and barged through your mental well-being, but as if you actually had the opportunity to sleep. And it's disconcerting enough that your beast decided now is the time to pounce.
Well, that sucks. So, Hestia's gonna get up and shower first. First and foremost, need a shower. Then she's going to check her phone, make sure there's no messages from any of the other hounds. Next thing would be, even though we were worried about going to holy places or churches or whatever, after last night, she's like, okay, we should be good enough for me to be able to go to the church that they are originally talking about and at least look around and get some information if I can. She's not going there in official capacity as a hound. She's just gonna go there as possible parishioner, change her look up enough that she doesn't look like herself, maybe straighten her hair, wear like a little kerchief to cover the color, put her glasses on, you know, the skills that Joe taught her in changing her look just enough to not be noticed. But on the way, she might try to stop and get something to eat, or somebody to eat, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, that's her plans for the night.
Okay. Well, that being the case, knowing Hestia's predilection for honesty, the ability to connect with others and explain herself, her situation, what's actually going on with her. Would you be so kind as to roll your charisma plus persuasion? And while that roll is happening and Hestia is walking the block, making her way towards St. Jerome's, the weight of the dream sense sitting over her. There is for those who have the gift of far seeing, the gift of premonition, the gift of being an oracle, dreams create the opportunity for a roadmap, steps that you will not take. And it's literally as if someone has taken the fog of war, a cloudy mist, and rubbed it all over what may come. So right, wrong, indifferent, those steps, those things that would clearly stand out through clues and inferences, it's like having the word stolen from your mouth. It's like having your GPS show that you are in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and it's just telling you to go right. So in the back of Hestia's mind, she's scouring for sustenance, for someone to speak with, someone to talk to, someone to properly get what she needs. It is all that she can do to not laugh as she passes a few crowds of people heading on their way home or otherwise, and she feels the very light and death touch of something and someone quickly, lightly absconding with her pocketbook, scanning the crowd of people nearby and spotting the tall-ish woman who looks a bit malnourished, i.e. underfed, underweight, and otherwise all but invisible to most people because she's just attractive enough that you wouldn't run screaming, and just plain Jane enough that one would have a hard time deciding it with her being dressed, whether she was truly male or female, whether she was masculine or feminine. In other words, a face that you've seen several hundred times travailing and traipsing across the city. Someone that blends into the background, someone that disappears from sight, someone not easily remembered. And dressed as she is, it does take a moment to realize that whether she's masculine or whether she is a she or a he or they, who knows? All the same, Hestia notices her, catches her in the act, as it were. She's making her way away from her. What is Hestia's immediate first action?
Normally, I would think that cooler heads prevail, and she's going to very calmly follow, but it's very much cat and mouse. There's a chase afoot, and Hestia's like, oh, that's cute, but yeah, you're not getting away with that. So she kind of, being as short as she is, she weaves kind of in between people and catches up.
Surprisingly easy to do, considering that for all intents and purposes, the thief believes that they were successful, as successful as they had been. And you notice that as they move further along the way, making their way south and then west and then north, and in other words, it's a very circuitous route they are making through the domain, as it were. And it's clear that this is a practice path because they know exactly where the few street side trash receptacles are. And you see a wallet, a clip, you see several things being discarded, but they're being discarded so discreetly. If you had not known what it was that was being discarded, you wouldn't have noticed it for what it was, especially the money clip. It's just another piece of metal, and it didn't even bother to clank inside the can. They are tactful and skillful enough to make sure that they obfuscate as much of their actions as possible. And it is with no small amount of surprise that you find yourself at a 3-story red and brown brick building approximately 4 blocks southeast of the Haven. which means they have literally been existing spitting distance from where Hestia has laid her head countless hundreds of times before. Following them up and in, staying just outside of their notice, Hestia finds them on the 3rd floor in the back hall, settled in, feet kicked back, resting underneath the stairs leading up to the 4th. How does Hestia approach?
So as they were walking, every time she threw something in the trash, Hestia took it because that's hers. She got her wallet back. The ID is expensive when you're kindred and you have to change your name every couple 30 years. So I don't care about the money, I care about, the wallet and stuff. So she's picking her things up as they're being discarded. But then when she gets to the 3rd floor and spots her, then there's that little burst of speed. Not quite blink, but supernatural speed, and just kind of appears in front of them. If you needed something to eat, you could have just asked me instead of taking my purse.
What? Oh, wait, hang on. Wait, you clearly have me mistaken. Yeah, the thieves, they're on the floor upstairs. They take TV sets and everything. I want to talk to them. I just kind of waiting on my friend to get back from their job, and I'm not who you think I am. You have me confused. You clearly are not talking to me. So I'm going to let you go talk to those guys upstairs, and I'll go wait outside.
Before she can get to her feet, I'm gonna hit her with compel.
Really? You're going to drop all pretenses of humanity, make eye contact, and as you make eye contact, lies Hestia's vaunted mental abilities. What is it that Hestia's attempting to compel?
You're going to stop playing games with me and tell me the truth.
Okay. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your charisma dominate? You are surprised. Most humans, unless of course something intrinsically of immediate value to them, something that they hold above all else, such as their lives or violence against another, are not able to put up any semblance of a fight. And the fact that she stutter steps and frowns, and there's a small tremor along her left jaw, there is some resistance there. There is some modicum of strength of will, and she doesn't hang her head, but she licks her lips and folds her arms over her chest, hugging herself as the words come out as if they're squeezed. I'm not playing games with you. I'd never lie. You were just a mark. Don't take it personal.
See, the problem with that is you're in my neighborhood. I run the shelter. So I've kind of got a vested interest in what goes on around here, and if people are pickpocketing, it looks bad on me. While you're saying I was just a mark, don't take it personally, I do kind of take it a little personally, because again, this is my neighborhood.
Yeah, right, your neighborhood, you're responsible for what's going on, and yeah, right. And if it is your neighborhood, shame on you.
Shame on me, why?
Because all the girls being run, the girls and the guys being run out of the fucking Adirondack, all the girls and guys being run out of the Martini bar, all the drugs, all the gangs.
Hard to get rid of them, but they're persistent. I guess I have to work harder.
You should.
How would you like a job?
I already have a job.
No, this isn't a job.
And as you say, this isn't a job. Lucio, you should kind of go ahead and roll for Raldro. Having gone back to his haven because of the events of the previous night and wanting to have the opportunity, the time to spend with his sister and maybe reaching out to his mother and father, there are things that shouldn't happen and have not happened since his death. One of which being when the sun rises, everything stops. And while he is still cognizant that the day continues, there's no semblance or sense of time passing. It is an on and off switch. His lights go out and the world ceases to be for a few seconds, and then his eyes open again to the night. Last night, however, there is this overwhelming sense that he dreamed, that he had a dream so intrinsically important that it left ghosts in his mind, left phantasm. Like there should be a sense of deja vu, but there's nothing more than the sense that he has had a dream, an impossibility. And while pondering the facts of that impossibility, his beast leaps to the opportunity. Things are kicked up a notch. It is crawling around his insides with lead-lined boots and stomping, making itself known. It needs food. It needs satiating. The one thing that do.
So I think at the moment, Lucio's going to keep a lid on it and focus instead on some of the other issues plaguing the coterie. And maybe figure out why the hell he's having a dream.
Okay. Well, one is easier than the other. Plumbing the depths of his mind and his subconscious has never really been Lucio's strongest of suits. Exposing others' secrets, finding others' reason, finding others' intent has always been his wheelhouse. Tracking down the reason for things, putting 1 and 1 together to get 11 is his wheelhouse. The external world, not the internal world.
Does Lucio actually remember the details of the dream, or is it just like a hazy memory?
It is a hazy feeling that he a full-fledged dream. Like there's a word dancing on the tip of his tongue, and when he hears it, he'll know that it's the right word. But until then, it refuses to make way for anything else. It is there. Was it red? No. Blue? Green? No. It was, and it will not give him any real semblance of surcease. It is a nettling, annoying thing. And the beast is using that catalyst, that confusion, to announce itself once more, to reintroduce itself. Perhaps you've forgotten my name. I'm you, the true you, killer, the monster, the thing that goes bump in the night.
Sorry, where am I hearing this from?
Just Lucio's beast nettling and teasing and taunting and refusing to allow itself to be forgotten.
Okay. As much as Lucio hates to admit this to himself, his year-long mission of trying to take down Laura Blakeney is going to have to take a backseat right now. I think the issue with the Hecata is much more pressing. So he is going to try and first get in contact with Hestia and the other coteries again, and then he's also going to try and begin establishing some sort of information network against them. And one idea he had beforehand was to use his clients.
Mm-hmm.
His clients for the blood trade, since they could do favors for him, such as gathering information to pay off the blood.
Okay, excellent. That is, in fact, a very tactically sound course of action. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and manipulation plus either streetwise or subterfuge, if depending on which is higher, as he rallies the troops and makes shadow moves through them.
Would a specialty in black market for subterfuge apply to this, or no?
No, that's merely navigating the black market. No, you could get effective ordnance, drugs, people, and the like from. It's navigating the system already in place.
2 successes.
Right. Well, in the grand scheme of things, it's not much. Just calling it what it is. But not much is still more than nothing. And as such, as he lays into a few of his more frequent customers, things begin to arise, such as the Eddie Woo's boys, the Capone gang, branching out into full-fledged sales, not just obtaining and selling a little bit here and there. It seems as if there is a shortage, and they are attempting to use the chaos of that momentum to build a larger network. They are attempting to subvert the system. This has been tried before. The source of that other attempt was laid low. That source being the senator from Dalton, Laura Blakeney. That senator from Dalton attempted to cut out the Indiana network and build their own. And rumor and gossip being what it is, according to the rumors and gossip, they had a hit placed out on her, whoever they are, and had the children of Malcav, the mad ones, drive Blakeney insane. At least that's what everybody says. Who knows whether it's true or not, because she's back in power. She's helping Dalton declare and own its own independence. And if rumors are to be believed, she's going to, or working on, building her own supply network to rival that of the circulatory system, at least locally. Farm the table blood as long as you can drink. Wouldn't that be some shit? Prices would go down, people would make less money, but blood would be far more prevalent than it is currently.
How fucking dare she?
What do you mean, man? That'd be a good thing for you. You could get it cheap. I can get it from you cheap. This is good. It hurts no one. It strengthens the economy.
The economy, my ass. First she murders me, and then she decides, oh, let me just cut into his supply as well. Me step on his territory.
Oh, I didn't know she was the one that made you, man. Sorry, dude.
No, she didn't make me. She killed me.
Oh.
There's a difference.
No, my sire killed me and made me. That's the reason why I'm so glad that he's not around anymore. But anyway, thanks for the hit. I will see you around, my man. Next time, can we meet a better place than this hot dog joint? You know, that bathroom is kind of scuzzy.
Alright. Do you have some other place in mind?
You know, funny you should ask. There's this tiki bar down on 57th. It's out of the way. They sell pizza. It's a nice place, a nice environment. And the bartender, man, that... Anyway, I don't want to get into too much detail, but the drinks that he pours has the entire bar tipsy, half a drink in. It's a great place. But anyway, I'm sure it's not your cup of tea, and you probably don't get them around and hang out with, live band places. But yeah, they got nice bathrooms. They have a guy in there making sure that it stays clean all the time, and a girl and the ladies. It's a nice place, fun place, great place.
I'll keep it in mind. I'll let you know next time.
You do that, man. And oh, hey, did something change? Tastes a little fearful. Not that I mind. I like the spice, but just maybe something. I don't know. Anyway, see you around. And as he moves about his way, we shift our gaze with Lucio, pondering what steps to take, knowing that Blakeney is setting in to disrupt the system. The steps such as that could easily overturn the table. She would be affecting an entire ecosystem. That'd be reason enough to do very bad things to someone. And you are aware that both the Dawn and for all of her class and charm, Sophia, if having food taken from their mouths would not look very kindly on such a thing. And with those thoughts in mind, Alexander, you awaken to the evening strangely refreshed, which is weird, to say the least. You should have been troubled. You should have... There's no doubt in your mind that the pressures and stress of the last few days should have made sure that dying would be your only peace. Yet, lo and behold, you awake, you come back to life, you resurrect refreshed. The weight of a dream. You're not sure how that's possible, but you have experienced enough of them during your living days. A momentous dream happened for you. You can feel it enlivening you. Can't remember what it was about. Can't remember what took place. But the fact that that feeling of floating along and experiencing your subconscious thoughts lighting your path is a joyous one. If you so kind of go ahead and roll your rouse roll. It is such a triumphant moment. Instead of having the lights on, lights off, having your strings cut like a discarded, disused, and abused puppet, having had the opportunity to dream, to feel as alive as you possibly could, your beast has not decided to make itself known, has not decided to make any demands on your time, any demands on your focus. So what are Alexander's evening oblations? How does he begin the evening?
First thing I'm going to do is check my phone, see if I have any incoming messages from Coterie members.
That you do. Lucio reached out via text. That's about it.
And what did you say?
Lucio.
Sorry, what was the question?
What did Lucio send to Coterie?
Do you want me to type that in character messaging?
Yes, please. And as Alexander scans Lucio's message, what's most pressing on his mind? Feeling as enervated as he is, feeling as alive as he does, feeling as if the world has made a promise that everything will eventually work out.
Well, it's been a minute, so his usual worries might start creeping up again, like wondering if the people he know are still alive. Like, there was an assassin looking for Damien. Is Damien still alive? But shaking that away, trying to enjoy this rare experience, Alex is probably going to reminisce about the abbot and when things there were a lot simpler and he didn't have, witches trying to burn down the monastery and the temple, and wondering how he's doing right now.
Well, there's only one thing to do in that regards, and it's a simple one foot in front of the other. When contemplating on what the abbot may or may not be up to, what may or may not have transpired, what the assassin that is stalking the city may or may not be up to, there's only one thing that presents itself, and that is a most troubling idea. It's the only way to find out is to do, and the only way to do is to find out. For most, it would be a cone with no real definitive end. For Alexander, moments of his living days makes it really clear that he needs to reach out to his former associates, be that simply the abbot, or be that the network of individuals who patrolled the city, living by the seat of their pants and escaping the arrest and worse that came their way by the skin of their teeth. While there are games and movies and books about what it is to be a thief, what it is to be a person who lives just outside the law, the truth of the matter is that humans are social creatures. They need the eventual contact. But if they choose to interact with that contact, that brushing of flesh, that sharing of space or not, there are still quite a few places around the city where one can associate in the correct element people engage in less than legal activity. Alexander is more than aware of those places. He lived and breathed in those places long enough that even though Some people may disappear, going to jail or the grave, that he is sure that if he shows up, take stock, that he will have a bit of information to follow up.
All right, so information practically about what exactly?
Ground shaking events, things that would threaten the topography of the criminal underworld, things that are outside the norm, such as buying or obtaining enough firepower that you can take down a kindred, buying explosive. People are looking for perhaps teachers in regards to making incendiary devices, people who need things obtained that most humans probably wouldn't, like a kindred would stock themselves for all manner of things that could do them specific total harm, such as blackout curtains, tape, UV glass, things of that nature that you can't just go out and go to Walmart or to Target and buy.
I see. When Alex sees Lucio's text, which I just saw, gonna go ahead and respond that I'm ready when you are to meet up again.
And as Lucio and Alexander text, where is it that he would attempt to alight? Where would he attempt to move towards?
Sorry, what was that?
Where would Alexander attempt to move towards? Where would he attempt to begin his evening to get the ball rolling, as it were?
Probably to check on the abbot first and foremost, because as I said, it has been too long since I've checked him. I think last time I saw him was when we killed a walking goddess in front of his temple and shot his friend in the head. So definitely first thing on my to-do list.
Okay. So moving across the city towards the temple to see the abbot, to see the Kimpo. As always, there is the architecture changes and dress changes in the very feel of the blocks that he passed. When he arrives on the grounds of the temple, he realizes that new construction has been begun. The wall, which had stood for the last 40 or so years, has been opened, has been all but removed. And as he moves into the ground, he sees that there are students once more in the temple. They had been sent away because of the Kimpo's true and honest fear that something horrible might happen to them. Them being present should be a good sign, but as Alex is a warrior, it makes him even so. He sees them exactly as the abbot thought they might be, as potential weapons against the temple, potential weapons against the Kimpo, hostages. Yet here they are. Instead of resting, they are working. Instead of keeping watch, they are busy on their way. Alexander receives no fewer than 5 different waves as he makes his way across the grounds. No one stops him to ask him whether he belongs or not. And as he stands on the ground, he realizes that there is a subtle shift in the feel of the place. There has always been serenity and a feeling of security, even amidst all of the chaos of the past. But now, there's a feeling. He's not quite sure how to describe it, except for the feeling of life. And with those thoughts sitting in Alexander's mind, Bill makes his way across the city to the Ligo Tavern, where he finds Eddie's right hand, Eddie's better half, Eddie's partner, the person behind much of what the Capone's gang's success has been. And as usual, she has a two-top to herself with several journal-sized notebooks on the table. She has 3 different pens, one black, one blue, one red, and she's making these notes. And because Bill does not speak, let alone read Tagalog, he is unsure what it might actually say. She looks up, looks him up and down, looks past him toward the door, and motions with a hand toward the seat across from him.
Lily, how's your evening? Well, doesn't matter. I think it's gonna get exponentially worse.
No, it's already pretty fucked up.
Well, Rob, he got pinched by the boys in blue, along with a bunch of the boys.
Yeah, I heard as much. Unfortunately, that's to be expected. Sadly, he's going to be a cost. We're going to lose him, and he's not happy about it. But we don't have anybody with enough muscle to get to him. We have enough people that could kick open the door, maybe even rip the bars off the hinges, but we don't have enough people to exercise enough political muscle to get him out of there without it being either a war or worse. And that's not a situation we can be in. We can't have any ties with him. I've already set up burning down the few shelf companies we had that were connected with him in the Millennium Club. But unfortunately, that's going to take time, and we both know that his time is just about run out.
Bill kind of puts his hand behind his neck and rubs it a little bit and says, "Well, it's good that I came to you then, because I was thinking on going guns blazing, but if it's decided, well,
that's what Eddie wants to do, but that's a dumb idea. We can't stand against Jackson, let alone anybody, the people that are responsible for this. How did anybody find out? We don't even have the place up and running yet.
Well,
and now they're raining hellfire on our head.
Speaking about that, I think the out of character. Are they now all called Hecata? Or
are they what?
Are they what? The entire Hecata clan is just a single entity, or they are different?
No, they're different. The Hecata clan, the Hecata house, it was a rumored thing, but now it's seeming as if all of those rumors and gossip are actually true. There are, for lack of a better word, undead liches or necromancers who have all but free reign, provided that they don't interact with the city at large. It seems as if they've been here for far longer than the rumors have demanded. It was only just a week or so ago people start talking about the Magisters, about the Brothers Keepers being allowed entrance. And if the Keepers and the Magisters are in, how long before the liches are in? How long before the creepy crawly people that deal with the dead are in? And lo and behold, it seems as if they've already been here.
Bill tells her, well, I've been hearing some movement from the people that run the medical complex, the leeches, I think. I've never seen them before.
Don't run the medical complex. That girl needs her ass beat. As soon as I get an opportunity, I'm gonna make sure that happens. Run around telling everybody, she's the reason why the bag stuff is as expensive as it is. She's been fucking throttling the flow.
Well, she's trying to muscle me out, along with some friends.
Yeah, but she didn't have enough connection to make this happen. Even she's not dumb enough to fuck with the police. At least I hope she's not dumb enough. Although, hang on. If we can say that she's responsible.
Oh, I know that look. He kind of rubs his hands together.
If we can point the finger that she's responsible for this, and we connect her with the Millennium Club, we can get those stupid hounds to take her out for us. 2 birds, 1 stone, and we're in the clear.
Well, one of the hounds is kind of a friend of mine, and he runs some stuff on the side.
Excellent. Here's what I need you to do, and you need to do it quick because Eddie's not big on patience. You need to get that friend of yours to get Damien and those hounds pointed at her so that they can take her out for dealing with him. I'll get the information to you. Give me 2 hours, and before this night's over, she'll be connected with the Millennium Club. She'll be connected with that, and they have no choice but to take her out, because that's a breach. There's no way that one of you guys getting arrested is not a masquerade breach. It's as simple as the first rule, right?
Yeah, I think so. You shall not disclosure that you have, and he does the bang thing with his fingers.
Exactly. And let me tell, I gotta go get to Eddie, because he's already talking about mounting a rescue. You're gonna have a couple of guys get arrested and housed with him, and then have them shank him so that he's dead. But yeah, let me get Eddie to stop. Give me 2 hours to get all the information together. You get your friends and get them moving already. By the time you get them moving, I'll shoot you. I'll have somebody stop by or reach out to your phone. It'll be an unknown. I don't deal with the cell phones. But I'll get the information to you within the next 2 hours. You get moving on your end, I'll get them moving on my end. We'll stop Eddie from doing something stupid, and we would free up a little more market space for ourselves.
All right, in that case, I'll get moving then. It's good talking with you. You always learn something.
Well, I try. It's not that easy. And she starts packing up the journals, slipping them into her Orban backpack, throws them on, and she's already moving out the door. Remember, I'll have it to you within 2 hours. Get moving. I need to stop Eddie. He's gonna do something. Oh my God! Please don't let him. He's gonna reach out to that fucking Genghis guy. Jack your ass. And she starts moving, leaving you and the Billy Goat alone.
I'm guessing Bill receives the text from
Yes.
Lucio.
Yes, the group text. Yes.
Let me see. He responds, on my way. What's your location?
And as Bill texts, where is it that he's going to try to attempt to be close to meet Lucio? Where is he? Is he going to head back to the shelter, or is he going to go out on the town?
He's moving in the general direction of the domain. I'm guessing that Lucio is somewhere around there, but if he responds a different location, he will head that way.
All right, sounds like a plan. And as he's heading out into the night, speaking of night, we find ourselves at the Loyola campus. The Mean Girls are, as always, busy as ever. There's an old saying that a lie will run around the world twice before the truth has already put his boots on. And that very much is how they operate. It is effectively a whispered network where they are in constant text communication with one another. And Dizzy has not quite been accepted into the group just yet. Well, the text group. You know what the saying is. If you're not part of the side text, that means you may not be as popular as you think you are.
Yeah, but who are they kidding? They want me in their group.
Of course they do. Everyone does. There's a way that Dizzy can, of course, work and socially manipulate them. But the truth of the matter is, with everything that she's experienced in the last few weeks, there's nothing like a direct foot up the ass to get things moving in the right direction.
And while that's true, there's probably a larger lesson for these girls to learn, and it might be that someone outplays their game. So,
and what is the first few steps of Dizzy's plot and plan?
I'm going to guess that her course of entry into this group to bring it down is going to be I'm so cool that I should be in your group, but I also have absolutely zero interest in being in your group, even though I really do, because that makes me more desirable and irritates you that I'm not just automatically in your group when you ask.
And that plan was going along flawlessly, without fail. Having created such a wide, well-known, yet indecipherable footprint across the campus, Dizzy was moving into that very strong position to operate. However, unfortunately, fate can be a cruel mistress or a cruel master, depending on which immaculate you choose. And there are just some things that Dizzy will not do. There's some things that are beyond the pale. There are some things that just, while it makes good practical sense, are just not something the soul can exist in harmony with. Sadly, that thing, that option, that tact of opportunities have presented themselves several times over. And it doesn't take a rocket science, which luckily for Dizzy, the lead queen bitch is not. It does draw attention to something's just not right. Something's just a little off. Something, I'm not sure what, I don't know what it is. I just don't like her because she's dumb. Look at that hairstyle. She wants to be Harley Quinn. No, she's not Harley Quinn. She's Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth was a brunette, you fucking idiot. You know what? I'm going to take care of this. And true to her word, queen bitch, being what she has manipulated people. She has pushed things. And it is only as Dizzy is making her way to the Thea's office, because Phoebe has reached out. There's something that she needs to see, and unfortunately, that usually means she can't get it off of their mainframe without drawing too much attention. However, talking with her quote-unquote friend, letting something accidentally be seen is another matter entirely, which is how a little bit of the information that Dizzy has been obtained. Dizzy, unfortunately, being the upright, forth, good, upstanding citizen that she is, making her way there when you see it a little too late. The two guys there by the subway, one guy there outside smoking his vape, they are watching the street. They're watching sidewalk. They're not really hanging out in the social sort of way that most these days. Eyes firmly fixed on their screens. The occasional ha, or hey, look at this, or did you know? No, none of that. The phones are out, the screens aren't lit, the sandwiches in front of them clearly grown even colder than the subway lights, and the guy vaping out front, instead of blowing those huge, obnoxious plumes that fill, a 10 by 10 room with one puff, is absently just cheekily puffing as if he's blowing spit bubbles. She sees it too late. They wouldn't. But oh, yes, they would. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll passive response, which is going to be your dexterity and athletics. Your target number is 3.
Question, does celerity add to this? I think I have rapid reflexes.
Yes, it does.
So I just add my celerity dice, or...
Yes, sir.
Looks like celerity saves me.
It most assuredly does, because there's no way that having spotted it a second too late is a minute too far gone. They're already on the move, and when moving that much meat all at once, it is extraordinarily hard to stop. It'll pivot. Luckily for Dizzy, she's far more graceful and considerably faster than they would have thought. As they crash one against the next, she finds herself 2 feet from the outstretched bubbler, just past their easy reach. What the fuck are you doing? Get her, not me, you idiot! Get her!
Guys, I don't have time to play right now.
The fuck you say? You know what? You're gonna play, all right. I got something you're gonna play with.
If I'd have known that, I'd have brought my tweezers.
The fuck did you say? You stupid.
Look, one of you can sit down over there and explain it to the other one, and we can table this until tomorrow or something. I'm busy now. I gotta go.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Now, as Dizzy is attempting to convince them to otherwise respond, is she utilizing any else except for her magnetic voice?
Not at the moment.
Her jab at their equipment, their tools, did not quite go over their head. After all, nothing goes over their head. They'll catch them, and they leap, they pounce, just like the standard try hard, not quite varsity football team Their speed for their size is impressive. Their tactics for the size of their skull is not. And as they attempt to dogpile her to the ground, what is it that Dizzy's attempting?
As she's being grabbed or tackled or whatever is going on, she's gonna yell out, "All right, look, this is the last time I'm warning you."
So you're gonna take them dogpiling her to the ground?
For now, she knows that even though they have the upper hand, that could change very quickly if she puts her mind to it. So,
the guy who clearly has not washed his hands in at least a few hours, smelling of onions and stale bread, attempts to cover her mouth with his hand. Look, bitch, you're fucking with the wrong people, and I really don't want to fucking hurt you more than this. Calm the fuck down. Go about your business. Go back to Ohio, go Iowa, Podunk Town, whatever you're from, and stay the fuck out of Kieran's business.
Provided that my mouth is not completely covered and I can speak at this point, I'll be like, this is the last time that I'm warning you guys. Just Karen and I will work it out one way or another. Just, fuck off and go away.
There's an old saying that fools rush in where angels fear to tread, and that's exactly what's happening here. He doesn't like being emasculated. He feels as if you're telling him what to do, just like his dad used to. How fucking dare you? They had a simple job. All you had to do is just stop what you're doing. But why can't you fucking stop? You just don't get it. And he attempts to smack sense into Dizzy's mind.
Well, I'm going to attempt to not be hit.
That would be a strength in athletics because you're attempting to get out of their grasp before he lays the hammer down. He is attempting with all his might and all of his strip mall martial arts training to silence your sass. Can't talk to me that way. No one talks to me that way without me paying them first. But he's never actually having been in any real altercation outside of the game. Aren't sure what it is he's attempting to do. They're not sure. Why would you hit her? Hey, dude, she's a girl. Ooh, smack! The fire that spreads is dulled by the simple fact that Dizzy is in fact 100% dead. Does Dizzy have fortitude?
1 dot, but it's mental focused at the moment. So.
So that's 4 outcome 1, half is 3. So would you be so kind as to properly denote the slap of hell that rings through Dizzy's being?
That's a pretty good slap.
Yeah, after all, it's a job. He locked up. And unfortunately, just like all cowards who believe that they have more upper hand, he is going to attempt to first shake, then smack her again because she's clear that she's hysterical. Don't you fucking get it? All you have to do is just fucking stop. Why won't you fucking stop? And even though his hand literally slapped dead flesh, cold dead flesh, he's not smart enough and is far too impassioned to realize that this situation is the definition of untenable. Because smack though he did, there's no blood. There's no ringing in Dizzy's ear. What there is the all-abiding sense that someone had violated and transgressed. That's exactly what he's done. And it's clear from his passion, it's clear from the thread of joy in his eye that he's done this before hundreds of thousands of times mentally and at least a few times to his dates of the evening.
I assume that he has one hand firmly on Dizzy, so she's going to reach out and lock eyes with him, using one of her hands to grab his hand that is not moving, and she's going to say, "I fucking warned you," and she's going to squeeze that hand with lethal body.
Oh, all right. Well, let's get dangerous, shall we? Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll that strength plus brawl, difficulty of 0. All your successes count. Would you be so kind as to make that happen? Oh, that is not good. That is not good. Now, never having been the physical sort with typical, average, everyday kind, Dizzy is not quite aware as to what that really means when applying herself and being pissed off as she is in the moment. As she grabs his hand without even no jerk, no twist, no attempt to put into a hand into an arm bar or a lock of any sort, she just clamps down like the vice that she is. And before his scream escapes his lungs, and it's in that this can't be happening. His scream is silent. His mouth is open. His eyes are bugged. He can't believe that these small hands are effectively rendering everything inside that appendage into paste.
That's right. Pilates, motherfucker.
Having not done such a thing to another living being, it momentarily catches Dizzy off guard. Because you literally, in the span of a handshake, rendered everything inside the skin into paste. There wasn't a snap, there wasn't a crunch, there was no audible sounds that anything happened except for a book closing or a door silently sliding into place. There was just, it was there 1 second, and she's done. Not. The only thing holding the extremity of that appendage in place is the skin, which is mangled and lumpy and looks as if it is holding a mostly cooked egg, scrambled, very fluffy, filled with all sorts of cheeses. And with that thought and with that moment, we would be so kind as to take a quick 10 minutes. I'll see you guys back here at 15 after the hour, and we will continue from there. Thanks, guys. See you shortly. And we're back. Everybody back?
Hey,
Excellent, excellent. So when we stepped away, without beating the horse overly much, there is a simple end of the gentleman having use of that appendage ever again. Break can be healed, a tear can be stitched, a severing of tendons can be reattached. What Dizzy does in that few seconds, that few microseconds, ceases his ability to ever use that limb again.
As he is probably obviously screaming in pain at this moment, she will look over to the other gentleman who has accompanied him this evening and say, "This is just like you Kyles. You're all talk and you're good out of the gate, but 30 seconds later, no one's satisfied and the whole thing is over. Would you like to run now?"
There is a decision that stands before every person when meeting the very specter of death. It is how you will die, whether it be running and screaming like the cowards that we all are when our lives are on, or will you stand bravely and do your best to resist? Unfortunately for these gentlemen, that choice is not an option. That is, it never even crosses their mind to do anything more than what they have trained their entire lives to do, their entire short lives. Beat feet, spank planks, be faster than the person you are standing against, to be stronger and run longer than your nearest opponent. That opponent being a average height, almost waifishly thin, platinum blonde, who has decimated the future of their teammate, who has, in the blink of an eye, gone from the easiest $50 they'd ever made to their closest brush with true outright monstrosity and death. And you know that years from now, if they survive their stupidity long enough to get there, when they reach the ripe old age of 40 or so, and their dreams of football have faded into I almost could have, I almost would have, I was so very not close at all. And they're telling their fellow deadbeats at the bar how their life changed, what caused them to actually finish their major. It will be this moment as the screams that are more animal than man echo off the buildings, and just like most crimes that happen in an urban environment, they are unheeded, they are unanswered, and Dizzy makes her way towards the office. When she opens the door, she already knows that the tenor of what Vivi has to tell her is something that... So standing with the girl in front of you, Hestia, realizing that she's slightly stronger of will than most would be, she takes herself very seriously. You've asked the question that she does not have to fight to resist. It's almost as if your very potent mental energies has made it easier for her to talk, passing the bar of giving you the unexpurgated, unbridled truth. There are these guys that work with the Latin Souls, and there's nothing you can do to stop them. You say this area is yours, how you can better in game. If that's not going to do anything. They're in too deep. All these little gangs all answer to them.
Wait, the answer to the Latin Souls or somebody else? Is that what you're saying?
The guys the Latin Souls work for. Varos, Yaros, the Way guys.
What?
Yeah, the fucking red Teslas that you see running around here. Everybody thinks they're just fucking yuppie scum, but no, those guys are the ones that everybody answers to.
Yeah, thanks for the information.
How can you say you run this shit and you don't know?
Because there are so many little chess pieces on the board that you don't even know about. All I'm asking is be more picky about whose pocket you picked, or you'll end up dead. Not from me, mind you, I'm not threatening you. But I know what runs around here that you don't aware of. So yeah, don't. And then Hestia holds out her hand for her purse, which was the last piece, I guess.
She hands it back, no ifs or buts about it. She had managed to keep it souvenir. She realized that, looking at the space where she's inhabiting, that while she may in fact be waiting on someone who probably she didn't believe she probably spends more time in this hall than anywhere else if she's not working.
Now, like I said, I know you said you have a job, but this job could get you killed and shot. I have an actual job if you would like one.
Look, hey, you're cute. You really are, but I don't know.
She goes into her wallet for one of the cards that's not, it's not money, so it wouldn't have been taken out. It's her business card for the shelter, and hands it over and just shakes her head, walking away. Call me if you feel like it. If not, I better not catch you again. Cool?
Yeah, that's fine. Hey, is Mike still there?
Hestia kind of stops and pauses. Now, have they talked to Mike recently, or did Wineka kind of like take him away from them and not let him come back?
No, Mike has been on the mend. Wineka sent him up to Madison to heal.
Okay, and we would kind of know that or not know that.
Yeah, you know that he hadn't been around in a while, and you'd also know from the gossip at the shelter that almost every time he leaves, he's up in Wisconsin.
Got it. Okay. So she stops and turns. He took a little vacation. He got a little injured, and he took a vacation up to where he normally goes. So he's all right. I'm sure he'll be back eventually.
Well, if Mike's there, I know it's not that bad, but hey, lady, if you really want to be like the boss of things around here, you need to get those guys in line, and then you can start making any real changes, man.
Oh, I plan on it.
And you got soldiers like Mike, like he won't let anything bad happen to you if he knows that you're open up. Like you would have never even made it this far if Mike was around.
Cute if you think that, but I'm sure. Again, call me if you feel like it. If not, that's fine. I just don't want to catch you again. Now, you have a good rest of your evening. Hopefully you get a good meal with that money you took out of my purse. And Hestia starts to walk out of the building, finally checking her phone because she felt the phone go off, but this was important, so she wouldn't answer until this was handled.
Okay. So she sees the group chat and she sees the messages. And it drives home the fact that there are, between the talk with Keeley here and the way that the evening has started, it drives home the fact that there are not a lot, way too many balls in the air. This area, being as it had not been any recognized domain, there are several dozen little camps, little epicenters of power and influence that have settled into the area, that have been in the area for quite some time, but they've been far enough outside of the coteries shelter that live and let live because you really didn't have much of a choice. You weren't responsible for their actions. You were responsible for how they reflected on you. Those times are gone. You all have exceeded expectations and reached a level of influence where, yes, this very much is the defining factor as to what your success at management will change how things happen. Your failures at managing a recognized domain will also change the way things happen. Kindred, who've lived as long as Lucio, as short as Lucio, will not have further opportunities if what you all are becomes known as a failure, not for quite some time. As the saying goes, you all are the first of your names.
So, she enters the text back, and I put that in group chat already, just to cut out the middleman there, and waits for the response. But until they get a response, she's going to head towards the church, which was her original situation.
Not completely understandable. Being a person of occasional single-minded determination, and she will not be deterred, will not be assuaged, she will not turn aside, and that has its own value. That has its own currency. That currency, in this case, as she draws closer to the epicenter of the St. Jerome parish, and she draws closer to the church, she realizes that this has been a known area for her. This has been a place that she's passed by several hundred times over the last century of life, and she's never really paid much attention to it. It's just a church like every other. Save as she gets closer, she realizes that the gargoyles across the top of the building aren't specifically gargoyles. They're all wolf-headed, They're all winged. They all have their snouts open, their fangs protruding. And while most such things are erected as protection, this seems an outright threat to the world at large. Step here and die. Here there be monsters. The writing is on the wall. And that's odd. Why has it escaped her notice? Why is there... And even now, as she's staring at the building, there's this inclination just to see it as just another church. The huge gray stones, the standard design, it is just a church. Yet she knows that it's not. The wish to turn aside, the wish to go back is there. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll power for me? And as she draws closer to the church, and she looks up at the gray red brick facade on the northern portion of the building where it had been retrofitted, where it is clear work has been done, she freezes. The crosses over the doors, the crosses at the very top of each of the towers seem to be shining down with all due light of the heavenly host. And Hestia's steps freeze. She forces herself to grow closer, to take another step, because she will not be beaten so easily. And she's held firmly to the spot. It is as if some portion of herself knows that if she takes another step, that there's nothing there for her but pain. As a tear wells up in her eye, and she had at one point in her life taken the greatest of solace from the embrace of the church, from the purity and the sanctity of it. She realizes how far in her course of living this life she's fallen. She realizes the lives that she has affected, not for the good, but the ill. She realizes how monstrous her action could be viewed as along the way. All the moments where she pushed forward instead of pausing to allow humanity to slip in. All those moments where it was a choice of pragmatism versus action, versus kindness, versus peace, and she chose pragmatism. All those moments where her darker impulses rose to the surface, where she gave up the fight, where she didn't resist, where she turned into the skid. Those moments weigh on her now. The trembling reality that if she takes another step, there is a very good chance that even this facsimile of life that she's living will flee from her.
There is a very clear fight going on in her head, because Hestia has always been headstrong and stubborn, her mother would say, and wants to do things her own way. That sadness at not being able to walk into a church after it being a place of peace for her at one point, that feeling of I need to be able to do this because I need this information, all of that's hitting her. But there's a wall there. She's trying to push, but then at the last minute it just can't. Takes a big deep breath and steps further away from the church. Hearing the phone go off again, checking in, seeing Dizzy's message and crinkling their face, she heads towards Loyola, texting.
With each step, while Hestia rarely rouses and pretends to be human, and pretends to live and feel the world around her, she can breathe easier. There's less weight on her shoulder. There's no less weight on her mind and her conscience, but there's less physical force weighing her to the spot. She grows stronger with each step she moves further away from the church. And that, unfortunately for her mental well-being, is as disastrous as one might expect. That solace, that joy, that security is gone. Something happened. Some step she took was a step too far. And being a very religious person from the outset, the idea of falling outside of God's grace is a very scary ideal. It is a very scary moment. She is literally in no man's land. She is beyond the edges of the map. And she, pardon the pun, prays that it's not as dastardly as she had in the darkness with the monsters. As she makes the walk towards Loyola, she knows that she can walk that distance in roughly 20-25 minutes to get to the campus. Where on the campus, where Dizzy may be, is entirely up in the air, but at least she'll be on the campus. She'll be there. And as she covers block after block, we shift away to Lucio, who is dealing with the ramifications that he's been told by a fairly trustworthy source, how trustworthy can a being that lives on the blood and life of another can be. But this is not the first time that such a thing happened, and that the prices have been driven up because of the potential competition. He sees it as a good thing. And most people at the bottom of the rung who don't have a wherewithal would. But the threat to the ecosystem is such a large thing that Lucio knows if he were in that position, he'd join forces with a potential competitor, if not outright enemy, to keep that from happening. It's world shattering. It's an upheaval.
There are some ideas forming in Lucio's head, some good, some bad, but he won't know which ones would be best until he meets with the rest of the coterie. With that in mind, he will try to head to the shelter, or to where the others are gathering, and he'll have Arsenio take him there.
Yeah, shit thing, Lucy. Come on, let's go. Hey, so you won't believe this shit. And you
Try
seem,
me.
You seem a little down, so I'm sure you appreciate the good news. So, you remember that dude we talked to, Sergio, the hitter?
Okay, jog my memory.
You know, that freelance hitter we dealt with up on the what was that, the west side, a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, so this guy, he's getting out of business. He got his nose together, and you know, he goes into you're gonna find this funny, but he goes into driving a truck, you know, the one of them over the road. But he's not over the road. He stays local. He does his thing. He does his 9 to 5, which is more like 9 to 9. But anyway, long story short, so this guy who does everything he can to go on the straight and narrow, this guy, he gets involved with human trafficking, of all things. He's hired to pick up a load from, Lake Station, Gary, some old factory that was burnt out. So he picks up this load, doesn't know what's back there, doesn't know nothing. He's coming through the weighing station, and all of a sudden there's this banging coming from the back of the truck. Now there's no nuts, you're not supposed to open nothing, you're supposed to go about your way, especially depending on what the load is. So he gets out of the truck. At the weighing station, we got 4 or 5 different fucking sheriffs and state cops, and they're all there shooting the shit, vaping, smoking, doing what they do. Probably a couple of donuts, not to be stereotypical, but you know what else you're gonna eat? Loaded with sugar, gives you energy. But anyway, so he, being the good guy, the straight and narrow guy, the clean guy, goes back and checks his load, make sure there's nothing leaking, that everything's plugged in, there's nothing wrong with the back of the truck, there's nothing wrong with the cargo container or whatever it is. So he opens it up. Lo and behold, it's like 75 people stacked in these little cubicles, like little half closets. They got IVs, they got gas masks. It's a fucking mess. Now that's not the funny part, that's the sad part. But these people are still kind of sort of alive. They're like half dead, half alive, like near comatose or whatever it was. medically induced coma is what they call it. I think they call it. So anyway, they're back there. He's there, mouth open. The cops come over. They give him a ticket because he quickly closes the door. They don't see what's inside. They give him a ticket. He's overweight. He goes to pay the ticket for being overweight. His real fingerprints come back. Bada bing, bada boom. He's off to the fucking pin. What, you don't find that funny? It's fucking hilarious.
Let me get this straight. This man showed the police he was trafficking humans, and they just gave him a ticket.
They didn't see the humans. I don't know how he got out of that. He closed the door or something. But anyway, that's not the funny part. This guy, he's been killing folks for like 15, 20 years. The one time he does the right thing, he becomes a good guy. Now he goes to jail. That's the funny part. Why didn't you get that?
Okay. Oh my.
I thought it was a fucking riot. It's fucking hilarious. I'm glad I fuck around with you with it, but that doesn't really actually happen to me. We do good stuff, but we don't really do good guy stuff. We do nice stuff. We do okay stuff. And so I won't have that problem. But this guy, come on. He spent 15, 20 years killing people for money. And he goes
going to get locked up for being overweight.
Yes. Now you get it.
What a cruel joke. Although, maybe he deserves it.
Well, as far as things go, everybody deserves what they get. Not everybody deserves to get it when they get it. I'm just hoping that I never get what I fucking deserve. I did some bad things. But then again, who am I talking to? Look at you. You are the best guy I ever fucking knew. And yet you do bad things too.
Yep, I do.
Guess it could be worse. Maybe Sergio right about now.
Yeah, I could be. Hopefully I don't end up there.
Fuck no. No, that's not gonna happen. I'll do my best to make sure that don't happen. You ain't gotta worry about me. I'll never rat on you. As a matter of fact, speaking of not ratting, you hear about that drug bust?
You're gonna have to be a lot more specific.
And the big drug bust over there in Oak Park. It's all over the news a couple hours ago. Like they say it's the 38th highest in the state in the last 5 years.
You tell.
Yeah, it's just a typical drug bust. The Millennium Club used to be a movie theater, but then somebody bought it out and got sold up, and then it chopped up into like 4 different businesses, like some place to do your hair, some place to buy your shoes, this and that. But it's all over the news. They raided the joint, took away the kingpin. Not that I knew of a fucking asshole like that. Gonna be a kingpin. Guy's fucking dressed in a wife beater. Got tattoos all the way up to the side of his neck. Looks like he's been shooting up longer than he's been alive. Bad situation. That's why I was always taught that you do your dirt, then you go do your dirt. You don't do a crime while you commit another crime. That's just fucking stupid. These youngsters, I don't know when they're gonna learn.
Out of character, does any of those names ring a bell? Like Millennium Club and all that?
Oh yeah. Before Lucio rose through the ranks and was actually a upstanding member of the Blood Trade, he was a client. It's one of the few places that he didn't frequent because of the very environment of criminality involved, by the very fact that the quality was typically medical grade, i.e. stolen from some hospital, urgent care clinic. It was always not even as good a quality as Itzhak. Itzhak gets good medical grade plasma, which is somehow not as distasteful. These guys, they were scraping the bottom barrel. These are donations pre-filtration. These are bits and pieces, bobs and blobs, versus the true upstanding medical grade. So you know that they were taking, or stealing, or hitting, or otherwise obtaining through unofficial means. And you can never tell exactly which level of quality you might get. Sometimes they'd be in stock, sometimes they'd be going through a drought. It was hit or miss. And more times than not, it was missed because they didn't have a consistent supplier. They were outside the food chain.
Back in character. Well, knowing what I know about them, if they got busted, then someone must have tipped them off about it. And the question is who and why.
That's
and what does that mean for us?
For us? Nothing. We don't do no drugs. We don't sell no drugs. good, right? Or you talking about the thingy business, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's a shame. I probably would have read them out sooner. Nothing like being on the good side of the law every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, every once in a while. Preferably majority of the time.
Nah, that's for suckers. It's a good way to make sure you don't live very long at all. And as he says that, and you used to stop outside the shelter. Alexander, Bill, you all having been circulating in the area, watch as the caddy pulls up and Arsenio eases into his usual parking spot in the parking garage connected with the shelter. What is it that you two are up to at this moment, considering your text back and forth?
Bill is kind of thinking how he's gonna introduce the topic of what's the name of the Hecata lady?
I did not jot her name down. She wasn't up just yet. But the medical center, Kindred, is fairly easily known.
Yeah. Basically, he's thinking that he needs to somehow broach the topic about the club and the hit on other kindred, on other Camarilla kindred. That's Alexander doing.
Okay. Looks like it. Okay, so that's not exactly where we were. Sorry about that. So while you make your introductions with Lucio and lay your plan mentally to express what's needed, Alexander, you had walked through into the temple. You had sent your text, of course, correct? But walking through into
Sorry, I missed part of that sentence because of lag. Can you repeat that, please?
having walked in onto the grounds of the temple, the living, breathing aspects of it, this is not when such things should be happening. Like, you literally see a few students tilling the garden. You see a few students working with floodlights on the roof of the Wat. You see the temple alive and active as if it is the middle of the day.
Hey, out of character, I got something going on real quick. Can we skip my turn?
Sure, of
For a sec?
course.
Alright,
Of course.
sorry.
So Dizzy, walking into the theist office, and the look on Vivi's face lets you know this is potentially traumatic. She leans over the desk, purposefully not bumping the computer screen, turning it so that you can see it as she leans and begins talking to you. Oh my God, you won't believe, Chica, how boring the day is. As she begins talking, greeting you as if you guys have not seen each other in weeks or months, when you guys just saw each other 3 nights ago. The information on the screen is less than joy. It is the refusal of Theist to be a publicly traded company. It is also shows the investment of federal grants and subsidies Theist's pocketbooks. They are a private company connected with the Catholic Archdiocese, receiving funds from the federal government. Now, over the last few weeks, last few months of hanging out with and getting the benefit of Vivi's information, that's exactly how most Black Bug publicly known companies tied with intelligence operate. It's not a smoking gun, but it is so very close as to be everything but. have a bullet fire out of the screen towards you.
Yeah, she just reads the information, kind of nods. She pretty much, I think she kind of already grasped a lot of that. So,
well, there's the grasping, and there's the fact that you now have an actual location for the regional headquarters for Theist, which is also part of that information. They are 100% as far as the information sitting in front of you, government related, with nearly endless pocketbooks. And if you would be so kind as to roll your intelligence and technology for me, please. Oh, there are people that can read between the lines and understand the subtext of almost anything. That skill has been all but replaced in most electronic communication. It's simply what's there on the screen. It's simply what's presented. It's simply what's sent. It may have other meaning when two people who know each other are communicating, but otherwise subtext doesn't really exist. It's black and white or pixelated in whatever color that they're using. However, Dizzy, with her experience when dealing with personal subtext and coded messages into her lifetime on the road, is able to discern in the information releases that are part of the upper food chain of Theist. There is a full-fledged operation being sponsored by them, carried out by something or someone called Knight Judas, taking place in Indiana. It is a full court press where they are attempting to ensure the safety and well-being of the citizenry. Such an old, antiquated word to be used in such a modern means of communication.
she will nod at the screen and look at Vivi and say something about Indiana.
Oh yeah, there's nothing over there but corn, everybody say. She's acknowledging that you are to look into.
Yeah, well, let's just say I have a vested interest in seeing some of those ears get personally shucked as hard as they can. In the ass, if possible.
Oh girl, you're so dirty, Chica. I'll do my best, but there's only so much we can do with whatever's going anywhere. Did you find your Kieran?
Funny story, that.
And you hear sirens of police outside.
Is there a back way out of here?
Take the side door. She points, and you know that door leads to this employee hallway, which leads between the first floor offices in this building and the side door, which will lead you to the path that leads down and around closer to the lake, away from all the major streets.
Let's just say I may or may not have been assaulted by a small gang of Chads who now know better.
So as Dizzy leaves, where is she heading?
She'll go the long way around the police activity outside, but she'll probably, having not heard from anyone on where we're meeting up, she'll probably just head back to her little digs for now.
As she makes her way down the path and around, it is easy to hear ambulances and know that there's probably going to be an investigation. There has to be an investigation because the story that's being told makes no sense. No one has that much strength. There had to be some mysterious tool or something, or there had to be there's no way. There's no way. This kid is clearly high on something and lying his ass off. And yeah, if he was strong enough and smart enough to do whatever that was to his arm, he probably does deserve a few opioids for that. Getting to Loyola, the thing that stands out is there's never a dull moment on any college campus anywhere in the world. At least if you listen to all of the wives' tales and all of the many movies from the late 80s and early 90s about college life, it's a veritable party every night, and there's all sorts of crazy things happening at all hours. Mascots being stolen, panty raids, toga parties, singing. It's just, no, that's not what happened. Get closer to. As you are on the campus, you see police car, an ambulance in the main street there that leads to the upper management building for the campus, all of the chancellors and all of that good stuff. There is a veritable crime scene there on Sheridan. Just ambulance after ambulance, police car after police car. There's screaming, and you see a few students finally coming down, all dressed in jogging shorts. Some actually bothering to wear shoes, others in flip-flops, and it's just a sight.
Since Hestia's college experience was none of those kooky things that happened in movies, due to her being an advanced student and one of the youngest in her class, she wasn't allowed to go to keggers, she wasn't a partier, she stayed in a lot. So all these weird things that go on campus are a mystery to her. Now, though, she just kind of stops and then puts two and two together, thinking of the last text that Dizzy sent about not touching anything. Oh no. And uses her short stature.
Hello.
All right. So as Dizzy and Hestia join forces, as it were, what are they up to?
I will smile winningly and wave emphatically with a slight little bounce, like an anime e-girl.
This gets a raised brow, but a smile, and I guess when she gets closer, she's like, sounds like you had a way more interesting night than I have so far. All I got was pickpocketing.
Yeah, they weren't after my wallet.
Yikes. I'm betting they regret that now, huh?
They do, but I mean, they were sent. It was supposed to be a message to me to back off, that I'm not the queen bitch, but apparently I'm going to have to work a little harder on being the queen bitch so that these things don't happen to me and others anymore.
Wait, does that mean we get to cut her? Because I'm so down for that. I got my knife and everything. Like, let me know. I'm good at that.
I mean, there's a whole gray area there. Maybe she's just misguided. Maybe she just doesn't know any better. Maybe she does need to be thrown into a garbage compactor. I don't know yet.
There's only one way to find out. But in the meantime, I think everybody else may have gone back to the shelter, but I don't know what's going on, so I guess we can text them and find out. But it's no pressing thing, is there? I did find out from the pickpocket that some guys in a red car, I don't know cars, but really fast sports car, rich kind of guys have been in our neighborhood, and they supposedly, quote unquote, run things. She gives the quotation mark, run things, and they're running the gangs, they're running the drug trades, they're running a lot of things. They're running the pickpockets. Yeah.
The Teslas?
That's it. That's what you said, Tesla.
You remember that girl that was sent to spy on us that kind of looked a lot like me?
Yeah.
And how we took her over to the McDonald's to use it as bait for me?
Yep.
She was killed and shoved in one of those Teslas.
Oh. That's not good.
So it could be coincidental, but possibly these people in these Teslas are keeping an eye on us. And involved with the Dusk people, whatever they call themselves.
I don't think it's the Dusk people. It was somebody else she mentioned. Some sort of like company, corporation.
theist?
Could be. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a fuzzy moment. That dream really messed me up. And then I had a weird... She leans forward so nobody overhears vampire moment where I couldn't go into the church. And it's fucking with me.
Oh, that's weird. I had a dream too, but I don't remember anything about it, so that's also weird.
I don't like the idea that we both had dreams on the same night. I'm wondering if the rest of them had dreams. Probably something we should find out.
It probably bears a conversation, yes.
And with that thought of a conversation needed and time to get together, we will draw to a close this episode. I want to thank you all. It has been, as always, enjoyable. And I want to thank you guys for sharing this hobby with me. Look forward to seeing you all next week. And over the next few days, I will have prompts for you guys. I think this is a safe place to end so that Craig does not abuse us further. And we can continue via post and leading up until next week's episode. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good night, y'all.
Good night, everyone.
Night, gang.
Night.